Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike Engine Graves.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Otakuology podcast. With me, as always,
was there a lag for you?
My buddy Otaku Mike. What kind of a lag?
Well, if you started at like 10 seconds. That's what I was asking.
I was waiting to see if I could hear you.
Oh. Do we need to start over again?
No.
Okay.
People will just understand the heart of life. Sometimes you're like, fuck it. I'm doing this shit anyway.
I mean, that is true, right?
But today's episode, for all you guys, we're actually, I would say do's and don'ts. We are covering
the do's and don'ts.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, we're not really covering that. We the entire thing though for basically like manga media. I guess the do's and don'ts then.
Yeah, I get it,
yeah. So
well, I mean, it kind of this topic kind of spun out of because we were both in the Mangatube community.
That's true. And what else we've done. So yeah. This is just kind of a general overview of Mangatube, Mangagram. What do you call Twitter stuff?
Manga Twitter?
I guess.
But I mean, Twitter's slowly dying. So
That's true.
And you also have
for some things.
You also have the manga talk. So
yeah, for some things,
yeah.
Anyway, that is what we are covering today. So starting out, why don't we just go into YouTube's?
Mike and I met.
That is true. That's actually where we met.
Everybody that's listened to
this point should know.
Yeah.
Should know that.
So let's start there. So Mangatube, I feel like is kind of a rinse and repeat thing. Because anybody that gets like a new idea or whatever, everybody else is kind of quick to hop on that. You really don't have like your own bread and butter in that. It's the same thing. So the niche part about that is kind of just little things that you do. You're
not wrong about that.
Yeah.
Because being in Mangatube for about 4 years, maybe 5. I would say going on 5. I was for 5 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of trends and a lot of ones that would, if somebody did a video or a topic or discussion, it would always, you would see 5 more videos based on that,
That's true.
And that's where it kind of led to the discussion as to, is there a ceiling to Mangatube? And I want to say yes, but I want to say no, because I feel like it comes down to the creator themselves on whether or not you hit that ceiling.
That's true.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. I think that there is a ceiling that people of Mangatube put on themselves. Now, things that are out there that we can explore and do and whatnot, I would say yes to that as well. I think that no about that stuff though.
Well, not only that, like we would put ourselves in that on that ceiling or whatever, like where we hit the ceiling, but the fans who watched us would put us in certain areas or pigeonholed us, to just talk about manga. And that's one that I really had a hard time with in MangaTube because I loved other things than just manga.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
and
That's almost
I
like anything for you.
I was pigeonholed into it, but I kind of fed into it. I was the etchy fan service manga tuber at the time. I think I was one of the only people at the time. But now there's more people who are do a way better job than I do.
Yeah, that's
Like our
true.
buddy,
Continue.
I was gonna say like our buddy Heartless Weave, or like Weave Daddy,
Yeah.
that who picked up the torch or the mantle from me and have swung for the fences. I want to say.
Right. Which I'm confused because did you pick up the torch from me? Somebody told me that once, and then it was like Otaku Mike does all this stuff, which I think is funny because it's still a question that bewilders you and I all the time anyway. Because we were like, but we read the same things.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it's probably because I was so much more open about it than you were.
Probably for the longest time, probably.
And those were the videos that always got the views, or the titty videos.
That's true. I do feel like you were one of the first people that was actually fully open about, as a guy, I feel like you were one of the first people that was fully open about reading like Faku hentai manga and stuff.
Yes.
Because there were other people, but then it just it didn't really matter. And then there was one other person that I remember was sort of open about it, but because they were a woman, it was kind of like MangaTube was more sexist about it. Like, read stuff like that,
We could totally go into that. Like, was MangaTube or is MangaTube sexist in a way?
Right. Well, that sounds like another topic for another day, my friend.
I mean, because when you think about it, like, I kind of feel like a lot of the women don't get the like the like the rejoicing of the fans, like is or up there in like the high ranking manga tubers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they're kind of pushed to the wayside a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like, and this could be another topic, as you said.
In a way, as
I feel like if you're a woman, that most of the clout that is surrounded that is a guy is basically waiting for you to put on a low cut shirt and to basically wait for you to like flaunt your stuff or whatever. And in a sense, I would almost say I feel like it's like Twitter. That's why I stay away from Twitter. Is they're waiting for you to be like, hey, post your OnlyFans link, so I can follow you, While with guys, there's not really that stigma.
You're saying there's like a sexual aspect to it almost?
Yeah.
Because MangaTube is kind of like a male-dominated area?
Yeah, for the most part. It's almost like, hey, you're not going to be as good as this as a guy would, talking about it, but I can focus on the guy and understand what's going on, but I can't focus on a woman because of my quote unquote like sexual urges towards her,
I've never looked at a female manga tuber like that, so I don't see that. I kind of just wanted their opinion because they're not guys, and their opinions are
and that's you and I being other manga tubers though at the time.
Yeah,
that's not going in the comments and seeing that and like having to talk to other guys and be like, hey man, like you need to chill out, like you're making people feel uncomfortable with XYZ or whatever, things like that.
Yeah, but I want to kind of touch on, like, I mean, that's kind of probably like a downside of the manga tube, but a
Right.
positive side is meeting people and making friends
This is true.
is probably one of the best things that I took away from MangaTube.
This is true.
Yeah, like I could.
So I want to throw out another downside.
All right.
Getting dressed up.
Oh, getting dressed up, like putting your face on.
So since your face is going to be put on there, I almost feel like most of the time you have to like get ready, like you're getting ready for like an actor's getting ready for a movie. Like you have to have like makeup on, you have to do all this other stuff. For the most part, like that's not what it should be, but there are times where you can see somebody, especially like younger college people, or if they're younger high schoolers and stuff, things like that, like they're going through the change of different things. And so, like I've seen it where it's like, hey man, you got a pimple on your face. Well, no shit,
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I guess that's a good thing for older people. We don't have to worry about that as much because our bodies don't go through those changes.
I mean, I always had the people who are like, I don't want to see you. I want to see the manga.
That's true too.
In that part, and
which is so weird because like more modern day stuff is like, I want to see your face. Show me your face. Like I don't care about the manga. So
you're right about that. Yeah, because I mean, like, it's interesting. It was interesting going into MangaTube because I've never expected. I didn't know it was a community at all.
Right.
And I could care less about the views and honestly, like the content I created. I really enjoyed more the interaction with my fellow creators.
Right.
Like some of those. I mean, a lot of them aren't around anymore, but the ones who still are, I consider them my friends, and we've never met in person.
Right.
Well,
I've met you in person.
Well, I know you have. Okay.
So let's move over to Manga Twitter.
Oh, I hate Manga Twitter. Manga Twitter's the worst.
Manga Twitter, I agree with you. So if we were doing a rank scale, I would say MangaTube for YouTube, and then Manga Twitter is underneath that. Manga Twitter is horrible. I'll agree with you there.
I mean, there's not much to say about Manga Twitter. Twitter is just a dumpster fire.
It is definitely a dumpster fire. There's always like somebody to wait and to go after somebody else, like, and go after their throat, and
a
lot of crazy stuff. Like that's one thing that I really hated about it is there were always fights that got started over Twitter, and it's like there's usually just a picture and some words.
Not just that, but it was over the most stupidest stuff.
That's true.
That
is true. Yeah, I mean, it was just stupid. Benefits, though, a good thing is, I mean, you could put like a 1 or 2 word sentence on a picture, and then just post the picture of your manga, and people would love it. So in the instance of you put out for it, it wasn't that bad, but when it came down to like social stigma or whatever, it was horrible.
Yeah, no, it was.
And I really want to say that it came down to so many people not understanding each other, or people wanting to just use that and turn it into a fight because it was like, okay, well, I'm not going to put that many words to this thing. Oh,
you could almost say it was like mini manga gang wars.
This is true.
But on Twitter.
So, I mean, that. And then we go over to Mangagram, which is where I feel like I'm probably the most comfortable at.
Mangagram is probably one of the most nicest places ever.
Yes. And it's really weird because it's in between, I would say, Twitter and Mangatube on how you put stuff out.
But now it's been more infused with TikTok, almost like TikTok, kind of.
Yes, kind of.
Although,
But I feel like how infused all that stuff is with that. It's in between. You're not putting out exactly like a big video, but you're also some stuff you're just putting out like a picture. So it's got like the elements of both manga tube and manga Twitter, but I mean very, very much less chaotic than either or.
You know what? One thing is kind of weird.
What?
That I always found fascinating, but I never understood, was people wanting you to take things out of boxes.
Hey, buddy.
It was almost like a sexual fetish.
Yeah, it was like releasing the load. They wanted to see you go through and get done with your box.
It's like, hey, you take that manga out of the box, but do it slower.
Right. So let me compare it to this too. Have you ever seen a mukbang video?
Yes.
So by the time the person's eating all this, and you're like, oh yeah, I don't get this way. I just know people have said that. Like, oh yeah, I want to hear that person like eat that food and drink that drink, and it sounds like people are getting off to that shit.
Let me hear you flip that manga.
And then whenever they get done, eating, it's like, and it throws me off so much too, because I'm like, are you getting off to this shit?
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
And they're like, no, I'm not. That's not one of my fetishes. I'm like, but is it? But is it?
But I was going to ask you, do you think manga tubers have a lifespan?
I do not. I don't think manga tubers have a lifespan.
Because a lot of the people who we ran around with aren't in MangaTube anymore.
Yeah. I don't think that it has a lifespan. I think it has how much dedication you have to it.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why most people got out of it was either because of seeing like drama happen and they were scared and didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Or two, they just got tired of it. Happens to gamers and other people like that all the time. They play Fortnite all the time, or whatever, and they've played it for the past 5 years, and then they realize like, hey, like, sure, I've made like good money off of this or whatever, and I've gotten different things, but I'm actually not really getting anywhere in life.
You know what? One thing I always thought was funny, was the rush to get to 1,000 subscribers at the time.
That's true.
And if you got like over 1,000 subscribers, you were like the hot shit.
Right.
And when I finally got to over 1,000 subscribers, it was a very empty feeling because I had nobody to share it with but myself.
Well, and the other funny thing is, like, we had all of these different people from around the world that were our really good friends and whatnot here and there. And when they started, like, basically, like, dying off, like, you lost a reason to, like, keep in touch with them, I feel like, kind of, sort of.
Almost. Unless,
like, you really just tried to keep that bond going,
Yeah, no, true.
And, I mean, just different people had that aspect, I remember my first year, like, knowing a few people and whatnot, and then take a little break, and then, like, finding stuff in, like, my favorites or whatever, like, from, like, 3 years ago or more.
Yeah.
More than that, like, when I had started and when I had basically like, quit, and being like, man, I haven't seen, like, that person in forever. I wonder if they posted anything. Never came back. Like,
Let me ask you a question.
okay.
Do you regret quitting? Or
Um,
do you ever look back at it and say, I wish I didn't quit?
no.
No.
No, because I know, like, for me, if I wanted to turn around and start again, like, I could. But the other
Yeah.
thing is like, it's a perspective thing. And I think that when you get into it, you kind of have a certain, like, feel to it, like why you got into it, things like that.
Yeah.
I think you have a better time of it when you get older. You don't want to put up with part of the bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel like making certain friends, you just don't care.
Yeah. No, I get you.
But no, I mean, and like for me, like I still have my collection. It wasn't like I sold it off and couldn't go back and do anything.
No, I mean, I just meant like you regret like giving it up. That's what I meant.
No, I mean at the time, all the stuff I had going on in life and all the stuff before that and whatnot. Just
I mean, it does take it took a big strain on my life.
Yeah.
And like it took up a lot of my time.
Right. That's true. Well, and
Yeah.
I would still get a big strain on your life because getting into some real shit for a second, guys.
Oh God.
Yeah, so people that are in that you thought loved you or whatever, when they like to bring up that past shit of when you did that stuff and throw it in your face, I really think that it's just super dumb. But Mike and I have both had that happen.
Yeah.
And it's almost like whenever you make a mistake from way back when and then somebody wants to like bring it up, like hey, do you remember like that time when you got arrested, like when you were 14, and then your parents don't like let that shit go or whatever. That's kind of what it seems like. And when it gets brought up and you're like, well, I'm past that or whatever. Well, obviously somebody else never let that go.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
but that's just something I know that you and I have both been through. And
I mean, Mangatub's a roller coaster. It definitely is. It can be.
That's what I'm saying, per se, but people outside of that worked with that let you do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I feel like there's like definitely like a buying aspect to it. Like you have to constantly keep buying and showing off what you got to kind of almost stay relevant almost.
That's true too.
In a way, like, oh yeah, I got all this manga. I haven't read it yet,
That's true too.
Our manga hall's toxic. What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
I mean, I had some fun times and I had some bad times in manga too, but I don't regret any of it,
Yeah. No, same. I can't say that I really regret it. I just think that that people that still wanted to gravitate back to that stuff even after everything was over and done with, like, and like when I left Mangatube, like all that, like it was a whole year of me like not really doing anything related to it for a while.
Yeah.
And then I had somebody that was supposed to be my other human being in life basically like give me that as a reason of why we need to be together.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't really feel like that makes a lot of sense because you're bringing up something so far in the past that it's irrelevant. But
do you feel like it's changed for the better than when we first started out?
I'd like to go back to a thing you said before. Do mangatubers have a shelf life?
Yeah.
I don't think mangatubers do, but I do think Mangatube does.
Okay.
I think Mangatube has a shelf life because you're never really going to have new shit that you can add to it.
Yeah.
You can have new faces. You can have any of this other stuff. But the thing comes down to it, like, if you and I talk about Pluto, then anybody else that I hear talk about Pluto is not going to really put a new aspect or a new spin to it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can see that kind of.
So,
a little bit. I can see your way of thinking.
Yeah. So, I don't know, and then
I kind of feel like you kind of can take what's come before and build upon it if you're that creative person.
See, I don't think so. I mean, you could rehash it out like, hey, I reread this, but
yeah,
I think, and especially watching other YouTube sources or whatever, gaming YouTube and things like that, they usually go, just go watch my old video,
Yeah.
So, I kind of feel like that's what the mindset is, instead of making a whole new video re-talking about it again.
I honestly feel like a lot of manga tubers have moved over to TikTok.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the new thing at the moment.
Yeah. So let's talk about TikTok then, since we've covered Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. Right now, my ranking of them is Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. You still with that or no?
I would put Twitter at the bottom and put TikTok under YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not TikTok, Instagram.
Oh, Instagram? I would put Twitter at the very bottom because it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah. And then we're about to cover TikTok, so I haven't added that in there yet. So I have Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
Yeah.
So TikTok.
I don't think TikTok's bad because you get your videos in small chunks.
This is true.
So you got to be more creative a little bit.
This is true too. I also think that the sharing capacity, because with TikTok you can throw it on Facebook and nobody's really going to be angry with you about it if you do that.
And you can go back and listen to our older episode.
Yeah,
I think it was called like TikTok and manga, where we interviewed like a manga TikToker.
Yeah. If you want to, you can throw it on Instagram, so there's kind of a connection there. I mean, you can still throw it on Twitter, so I mean, you can throw that and you just get this nice little bite size thing. I also feel like that is a better way that we are as a people nowadays, because I can go in and watch 20 of somebody's Twitter and still only spend like 25 minutes watching those or rewatching those or whatever, and watch 20 of their videos, maybe talking about the same damn thing, and feeling a lot more satisfied than listening to somebody's hour-long rant about one thing.
Kind of like what we do on the podcast.
Kind of like what we do on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's that,
So in terms of that, I would throw Twitter down as my number 2, not Twitter, TikTok as my number 2 under Instagram.
Okay.
And then of course podcast, you and I branched out and did podcasting. I don't really know that many people that do podcasting manga wise. It's either they either picked YouTube, or then they went and they go, no, that's not for me too, and they moved over to
I mean, there are a bunch of like manga anime podcasts out there, but we also have our buddies Planes, Trains, and Comic Books out there who started to dabble into manga.
Very true. But I just don't see. I see people either picking YouTube or picking podcasting. I don't see people saying, let me record the same video 12 different times for TikTok, podcasting, and YouTube, Let me do an Instagram live or, things like that. I don't see that.
Yeah.
But no, I would say that is a really good one as well.
Yeah.
Podcasting, I think, is probably better than YouTube. YouTube really seems like when you click on it, you're kind of led into needing to sit there and watch the video and whatnot,
Mhm.
versus like, hey, let me just listen to it. I feel like podcasting is a little better than YouTube in that sense.
Yeah, because you're just a little biased.
No, I mean, I just think that it's better because I listen to audiobooks and whatnot. So I'm not actually having to sit there and watch somebody be like, let me read The Hobbit to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just media wise, I feel like that's better. Basically the other things that we've already talked about, I feel like kind of rip YouTube to pieces per se. Like if I want
I could say that to an extent.
if I want to see what manga you have, I don't want to see you picking it up and whatnot. I would prefer to sit there and look at a picture and say, hey, I can see what you picked up. I can see these pictures and not have to pause my video or whatnot.
Mhm.
And go from there.
Yeah.
Leave a comment if I want, which you can do it everywhere. Podcast, if I want to really hear you talk about it, I can do that. If I want to watch you, I can go to TikTok. It really seems like those three in conjunction, a podcast, TikTok, and Instagram, all three of those together really make a better impression.
Yeah.
Especially going off of the joke that we were talking about earlier, one of the things that I also find kind of hard is I feel like Twitter is also being taken over by OnlyFans people. Because like you can have somebody that does cosplay and other things like that, and they post a picture on Instagram, and then it'll be like, oh, go to my Twitter, and you go to their Twitter, and it's nude pictures and things like that and whatnot. Not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, if I wanted to focus on really looking at manga or whatever, now I'm distracted with other things that are out there.
Yeah. I think it's a big step for somebody to even get onto like social media or even like YouTube or whatever and like talk about their love of manga.
Right.
Because I mean, it takes a big step to put yourself out there creatively and deal with ridicule sometimes.
That's true. So branching out a little bit from that, Facebook, I feel like, is another good form.
There's always a bunch of like groups you can be a part of.
Yes, there's groups on Facebook. There's other things like that. You can also have kind of like more of a homepage thing with Facebook. Basically who you are on Instagram and stuff is basically what your little bio thing is. And then people will go and look at your pictures and your videos and whatnot. I don't always feel like those capture you as far as like the Facebook groups and stuff can. But that's kind of to each their own per se. Some people I've seen do Instagram and it looks a lot better than their Facebook, and other people I've seen their Facebook and been like, wow, like I wish like there was more of this stuff on their Instagrams and stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, other sources that also are good for all of these people are really just like third-party book sites, Goodreads. There's another one that I know that one of my friends does. I can't remember. She reads novels and young adult books and things like that. So she uses something else. I can't remember the name of it. Those are really good, especially if you're a reader and you want to follow reading goals and talk to people about what things are like that. you know, and then you have basically like Discord. Discord is something that you can go into and follow that one particular person that you love if they keep up with their stuff. If not, it might just be like a forum thing, really. Which I mean, like
I would say Reddit as well.
yeah, Reddit.
I would
Yes.
I would put Reddit above Discord
Yeah,
because I mean Discord's kind of dumped their fire if you don't monitor it.
that's true too.
Yeah.
Then of course you also have like forums in different places. You know,
Yeah.
that's another thing that you can kind of go out and go from there as well, and cover. Those ones are usually a lot better for things that you want to talk about, but one of those that you have to watch out for. Sometimes you're going to have people that are a pain in the ass in those groups on forums and whatnot, and sometimes it's going to be like the best group ever. So
True.
it just depends, you know.
Yeah. But I think we had a good discussion today. I think there's a lot of different places other than Mangatube that you can go if you know.
This is true. You know, and one of the other things before we end it here in a second, I think too is like if you do that and you also kind of spawn out into like cosplay or whatever as well, or have a friend that does that, that's also another thing that you can do that I feel like really puts manga in the spotlight.
Yeah.
People will try and gravitate towards you as a person, and then you can share your love of manga. And I think in those aspects, it means a little more than actually just somebody that does YouTube or a bunch of the other things that we have, you know.
Yeah, no, I got it.
So, but anyway, guys, yeah, let us know what you think. If you are another manga tuber, grammar, Twitter person, I mean, anything, let us know. If you agree with our list, let us know if you agree and or have had those things happen to you on
Or
some
if
of
you
these things.
disagree with us.
This is true too. If you disagree with us, remind me so I can skin you and put you on a bookshelf. So,
Oh, that's a little graphic.
Mike's a little graphic.
Oh, I'm always graphic. The same.
Exactly. Perv.
But what do we
so-
say to end this podcast?
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening. Remember, don't go to Texas because there's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre there, aka Otaku Mike. And we will catch you guys later on the next one. I hope you guys will stick around and listen to other stuff that we put out, including some of our older podcasts and whatnot. And we will catch you on the next exciting episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.